Hi guys, here is the video for Chapter 8 on Groundwork for Better Vocabulary. We're going to have a quiz. We'll actually, unfortunately, have two quizzes tomorrow on vocabulary. So those will be over Chapter 7 and Chapter 8. So be prepared for that tomorrow. Okay? Okay, so first of all, we have, these are the vocabulary words for Chapter 8. Again, I encourage you guys, especially if you have difficulty with this, to take the time and divide these ones up into syllables. The more that you practice this, the easier it's going to be and the better you're going to get at it. Okay? But let's keep on going here. So let's talk first about this first word, which is adequate. Okay? So adequate means okay, and that's not the best definition. But let's take a look at the take a look at the sentences here. So when I didn't have time to finish the windows, I hired a neighbor's child to do it. He did an adequate job, not perfect, but good enough. Open sandals are not adequate footwear for factory work. Workers should wear heavy shoes to protect their feet. So what adequate means in a sense, yeah, it does mean okay, but it means it's good enough. And it means it's not great, it's not super, but it's good enough. So in terms of grading, in the U.S. system, we have A, B, C, and D. And I'd say that a C is adequate. It's average, it's passing. It means that you understand the material, but you didn't do a great job. Similarly, in our class, a 75% would be considered adequate. You did well enough, you understand the material well enough, that would allow you to pass, but it's not a great score for you. All right, so moving on to the next one here, we have appeal. So every year, charities such as the American Cancer Society and the March of Dimes appeal to us for money to help cure disease. When police can't solve a crime, they sometimes appeal to the public for help. So appeal to make a request. Now appeal is one of those words that is a verb, but it's also a noun, and the meaning is pretty much the same. But let's talk about the verb meaning here. To make a request means to ask for something, but appeal is not like is asking for help for something. So in the first example, the appeal that they're making is for money, right? And if you look at this, if you look at the structure in both of the sentence, we have the word appeal and then to someone for something. So an appeal to us for money, an appeal to the public for help. So that should be a clue for you guys on the quizzes. But an appeal means you're asking somebody for something, right? So you could appeal to your teacher for a better grade, or appeal to your teacher for less homework. But you're asking someone for something is appeal. Okay, so here's our next one, awkward. When I was 13, I was very awkward. My feet seemed too big and I was always tripping over things. On her first day of ballet class, Nina felt very awkward in comparison to the graceful, experienced dancers. So awkward, not graceful. And by graceful, we mean the example that it gives here is like a ballet dancer would be considered graceful. This is a person who's able to walk or move in a very fluid or comfortable way. Awkward means awkward can also mean uncomfortable. Like you could say, I felt awkward. Or you guys might have felt awkward when you first came to the United States because you were uncomfortable. You didn't know the rules. You didn't know what to do. In this way, something can be very, very awkward. But awkward in this case can be related to movement, but it can also be related to how you feel in a situation. If you feel uncomfortable because you don't know the rules, of what to do. An example that comes to my mind is sometimes, I don't know if you guys have ever been to a wedding of a different faith or a different religion. Oftentimes this can be awkward because there's rules and customs that everybody else seems to know, but you're sort of clueless about, and so you feel awkward about them. All right, so moving forward, the next one is customary. In some towns, it's customary for the welcome wagon to visit newcomers and tell them about the town. Americans usually eat their big meal in the evening. In Ireland, however, it's customary to eat a big dinner in the afternoon and a light meal at night. Customary means normal. If we look at this word customary, we can see that inside of it is the word custom. So a custom is something that people do normally. That's a habit for either a group of people or a society. So things that are customary are going to change from one culture to another, just the same way that customs change from one culture to another. So what is customary in your family may not be customary in my family. Okay, so moving on, we have establish. The first lending library was established in Scotland in 1725. Our town plans to establish a food bank where people can buy groceries for very little money. So establish means to. So I forget what it is, but there's a word that we talked about, the word originate before. And originate, we said that the meaning of that is that where something's origin is from. Where did it first come from? Now, establish is somewhat similar to that. But establish is focusing not so much on where something is from, but when it was started. When it was began. So the things that you establish are normally businesses or companies or things of that nature. A building. You'll often see on the side of businesses like Modell's. If you ever go to Modell's and you look under the title, the sporting goods store, it'll say established in like 1897 or something like that, which means that's the time that it was started. What we wouldn't use is we wouldn't say, we're not going to use establish the way we use start. Like, you're not going to say I established a test. You could say I started the test. But establish means that you're creating something for the first time, normally a business or a building or something like that. Okay, so on to the next one. We have potential. My grandmother had the potential to be a great teacher, but she couldn't afford to go to college. Everyone agrees that Carlos has the potential to be a major baseball player. To become that good, he must continue to work hard. So potential means ability. And one of the things I want you to pay attention to, and this is not always going to be the case, but we see in both of these sentences, after potential, we see the words to be. And potential means that you have some ability within you to do something. Some ability within you to do something. Now, your potential, we say your potential may be realized or it may not be realized, meaning that you may be doing that thing that you have the ability to do, but oftentimes potential means that you have the ability inside you, but you haven't done it yet. So in this first case, my grandmother had the potential to be a great teacher, but she couldn't afford to go to college. Inside of her was the ability to be a great teacher, but she wasn't able to. In the second one, Carlos has the potential to be a major league baseball player. Okay, it means right now he's not a major league baseball player, but he has the ability to do that. So potential is something inside of you. Those of you guys who are science people, you may have heard of the difference between potential and kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is energy in motion. Potential energy is stored energy that hasn't been used yet. Okay, so our next one here is respond. You can ask me a question, so why don't you stop talking for a minute so that I can respond? When very little children talk on the telephone, they sometimes don't realize they have to say yes or no out loud. They think they can respond to a question by nodding or shaking their heads. So respond means to reply. So respond is related to the word response, which is the noun form of this word. And respond just means that you're giving an answer to something. It doesn't have to be yes, it doesn't have to be no, it can be anything. Respond just means to answer someone's question or answer someone's actions, right? You could respond to, somebody talking to you by, standing up and walking out of the room. So it doesn't have to be a vocal, something with your voice, but respond means that you're reacting. You're reacting to what someone has said to you or someone has done to you. All right, so here we have vanish. The magician made the rabbit vanish by slipping it under a secret door. I gave a stranger $500 in cash to paint your house. How do you know he won't vanish with the money? So vanish, to go out of sight, to go out of sight. Another way we could say this is to disappear. Vanish is a word that's often used in terms of magic, meaning that something is disappearing in some mysterious way, in some unknown way. So in the first example, the magician is making the rabbit vanish. We don't know how it disappeared. In this case, the stranger is going to vanish with the money. We don't know where that person went to. It just disappeared. Okay. Here we have the word variety, and variety is somewhat related. I think there's a word we've already studied. I can't think of it. I'm thinking of the word category, but category is different. So in the spring, the woods contain a variety of wildflowers, including bluebells, daffodils, and violets. Instead of being a variety of colors, all of Gale's clothes were lavender or purple. So what variety means is a mixture. One thing to pay attention to in terms of the sentences is that we have variety followed by of in both of these cases. So a variety of wildflowers. This means a bunch of different wildflowers. A variety of colors is a bunch of different colors. I don't know that mixture is the best synonym for it, because mixture has this idea that they're all mixed together or they're all together. But variety means that we have a bunch of separate different things. One of the things we can talk about in our classroom is that we have a variety of students. We have students from all over the world, from a variety of different countries. So variety is focusing on different types of the same thing. Different types of the same thing. Okay, and our last word here is wholesome. The city residents are planning a community garden where they can grow their own fresh vegetables. The city residents are planning a community garden where they can grow their own fresh, wholesome fruits and vegetables. We know that smoking is not wholesome, but early cigarette ads claim physical and mental benefits for smokers. So wholesome means healthy. So when we describe something as wholesome, it means healthy, but it means good for you. We can, they'll often talk about on television, like wholesome entertainment. So these would be TV shows that are good for families and children, that there's some benefit from them. In the two examples here, we're saying wholesome fruits and vegetables. Those are, it's obvious to see that means healthy, that those are good for you, and that cigarette smoking is not healthy. It's not good for you. But wholesome, it doesn't just have to do with physical health. It can be also with your mental health. But you can think of wholesome as something that's being good for you or positive for you. Okay, so here's check one. And the thing that I would recommend that you guys do is review check one, check two, and the final check, because those are the best preparations for the quiz. The other thing that I recommend that you're doing if you're struggling with these is look at the sheet that I showed you the other day about the different parts of speech and the locations of the parts of speech, because that should also be able to help you with making the right choices there. If you have any questions, post them on Facebook or bring them to class tomorrow. Take care. Bye.